I'm going to show you how to use Motive Wave 5.0 to create, using two different component tools, to create a study of a 2 standard deviation, 10-day, 60-minute bar linear regression. Some people will tell you that this is a good way to do trading on a 1-hour time frame. And if you look at some of these charts, for example, with Apple, this spans 80 bars in real time, not extended time, real trading hours. And you can see that 95% of our trades have in fact been, within this 2 standard deviation. We've come down 2 standard deviation from the mean and bounced up. We've hit the top 2 standard deviation and bounced down. Now earlier today, when we were actually in this situation, and our chart looks something like our 80 bars were something like this. Once we popped up here, I entered a trade. Now time has moved on, and we're back to trading within 95% of our standard deviation, 95% confidence, 2 standard deviations. I'm going to stay in the trade. I'll add more if it breaks out again. I'll get out at the midway point, and I would look to buy again if it bounces off this bottom line again. But right now Apple's in an upward trajectory. Caterpillar is in a downward trajectory, but you can see that we were 2 standard deviations, exceeded 2 standard deviations on the top side, but came down to 2 standard deviations, hit the mean, came back down to the bottom of 2 standard deviations. On this Mexican EWW index fund, we can see good behavior of tracking the bottom and top of the 2 standard deviations quite well. We see the same thing for the gold miners, and we see the same thing for Western Digital, where we started at the top as 2 standard deviations, came down to the bottom, exceeded it for this brief 1 hour, popped right back up 2 standard deviations away, back down to the mean, and now we're tracking possibly for another breakout. And I've got my alert now set, so when it goes above this point here, I'll partially enter the trade, and then I will watch and see what the reaction is at the top of the 2 standard deviation. So how exactly do we set this up now? So let's open Apple, and let's get rid of these 2 studies. And I'm going to show you how to use custom tools. These are some of the custom tools that I've customized and placed into a special group and put into my toolbar because they're the ones I use most often. And I've actually customized the 10-day, 60-minute standard deviation different from the default that comes with Motive Wave. I'm going to show you how I did that. Go into Motive Wave, Preferences, Toolbar, Custom Tools, and here's the one that I created earlier in a demo that I scrapped. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Here's the one that I'm currently using. And what I did is I just gave it a name, chose a color. I chose as my base tool. Let me go back here and create one for you. So this would be 10D60, let's call it. I'm going to use the general component, and I'm going to take channel standard deviation, choose an icon color, go into customize, and just confirm again, I'm not using an ordinary channel, I'm using a standard deviation. I'm using the close of the 60-minute candles, but I'm going to customize it so that I'm using 95% confidence or 2 standard deviations. I'm not going to show any info because I don't want to clutter it. I'm not going to extend it. My format, I'm going to use some shading. Visibility, I want my visibility to be the 1 hour. So for now I'm going to say greater than 15 minutes. I'm going to have to go back in there later and change that to 60 minutes. And just say OK. and then OK, and I've got my new tool here. I can go to Tool Groups, click on this tool group and edit, and I could take that one there that I've created and bring it over into my customized tools. So it's going to appear in my pop-down menu right here. But since I've already got one, I'm going to get out of it. I'm not going to put it over there, okay, for now? So cancel, cancel. I need a second tool, and that is the time range tool. I'm going to tell you why in a second. When I take my first tool, which is my 10-day, 60-minute customized standard deviation, you know, I don't really know where 80 bars are, or 10 days, 60 minutes. So I'm just going to draw one. Oh, I've got 3.3 days, but how many bars is that? 3.5 days. How many bars is that? This is where my time range tool comes in. And I'm going to customize my default time range tool to show the info, because in this case I do want to see how many bars I have, and I do want to extend the endpoints up to the top of the chart so that when I move it, I can align my ends with my linear regression. I want to show the guides. Format, I can choose the color. My visibility is going to be 1 hour only. Save my defaults. Okay. Now when I draw my 80 bars, it's very easy now to find out where 80 bars are. I can take this and I can align it with my last bar and make sure that my linear regression falls within this area. So this is how I got my 80 bars and my standard linear regression channel to fit in that area, so that later on, when I come back hours later and my chart has changed, this one doesn't have my 60-minute time range, but let's just put it in here so that I can set my 60-minute time range now to my, let me go and try to find a proper one here, one that's already been in use and has to be moved. Oh, here's one here. S&P 500. Looks a little ugly. There we go. So now I want to move my 80 bars to my right end to my last bar. Click on my linear regression chart and then move it so that it fits perfectly within the guides of the 80-minute bars. And now I have my linear regression fitting my 80 bars. So when I'm looking at multiple charts, I've got a nice view of my linear regressions. Hope that was helpful. Thank you.